I am so excited. The release of The War Within is just around the corner. I really think that this expansion and this series of the Soul Saga is going to be epic. I've absolutely loved all of the interviews that have come through with their discussions with what they're doing with the game, all of the interactions with feedback with the community and reiterating on it week after week after week, fine-tuning the game and explanations that it's not going to stop. They're going to keep doing that as it's moving forward through the expansion. I really think that this is going to be creating the perfect storm for a fantastic experience. If you'd like to join in with me live, I will be streaming, linked in the description down below. But in today's video, I wanted to cover some last moments of me rediscovering my love for the Balance Druid. So I was kind of on the fence as to whether or not I really wanted to level the Balance Druid first, but I did some extensive testing with it on the beta over the past 2 days, and I found some builds that are really fun. I really like the Elun's Chosen Starfire build. I think this is a great build for beginner boomkins as well. They've simplified this build whether you're doing PvE or PvP, and with this build, you basically get into Lunar Eclipse, and that's your main goal. So we're going to cast Wraths to get into Lunar Eclipse, or use our Incarnation to get into Lunar Eclipse, as you can see that I've done in this position. Once we're in that eclipse, we want to generate astral power with all of our resources, dump Star Surges and Starfires, and these Starfires are really beefy. So if you're used to getting attacked like this by melee DPS and struggling in PvP situations, these Starfires are going to be excellent for combating these melee and pushing them away from you and keeping your pressure going. Now we've gotten back into Lunar Eclipse, and this is what I like about the simplicity of the gameplay, is that that's your only goal. Just press Wrath to get into Lunar Eclipse, Star Surge, and Starfire. It's very basic, as opposed to more of the constant flowing and rotating between eclipses that Balance Druid typically has. And you do have the option to run into the other hero talent tree as well with the Grove Keepers. But this build felt more powerful, I think, at this time, and it just was more simple, and it just felt different. I actually liked the Starfire being a much more relevant damage profile. You can see these big Starfires coming in on this warrior here right around the corner as we go for a Solar Beam into Bubble, because we're not playing with add-ons. That's a pro move. I highly suggest you do it, but we're able to dunk on this warrior and finish him, and we were getting some really big crits. You can see 1.5 million for the Ferocious Bites, 1.5 million for the Starfires. I really like this build. I feel like there's a lot of exploration as well still, that hasn't been done on the specialization, probably for every specialization, right? Because for a while I was really like, is Boomkin really that good? Do I really want to play it? I'm not too sure 100%, but then after I was shown some builds and I've been trying it, I'm actually liking it again. And I like the differences between Dragonflight to the War Within, that you can play more of the complicated version with one hero talent tree, or play a more simplified version of it. You can play multiple builds as well within the baseline talent trees, so there's a lot to look forward to and a lot to explore. So we're going to start this with Solar Beam again on the healer, this time not into Bubble. We're going to line up that Incarnation. Now we got a bunch of instant Starfires that are just going to come crashing down from the skies, doing massive amounts of AoE damage. So the one weakness that Balance Druid had in the past was dealing with these double melee DPS. This build is great for just shredding them and tearing them apart and really punishing them for stacking up. This is just a build that will absolutely feast on anybody that is standing too close to each other with the AoE, because you also get Fury of Elune, and when it ends, it's going to explode. So you can proc Fury of Elunes, you can reduce the cooldown of your Fury of Elune, and then all of these Fury of Elunes, when they finish, they explode for extra AoE damage on top of these Starfires. So it's just really good anti-cleave. Also, they've nerfed a lot of our bear form healing. I think a lot of druids fell into the trap in previous expansions of being stuck in bear form and just not being able to do too much. This time around, you're going to be talented into movement speed and focused on kind of just kiting away and spending a lot less time in bear form overall. You'll see that I really only ever go into bear form when it's like absolute last second emergency frenzied regeneration or something like that. And aside from that, I'm spending a lot of my time just kiting, pumping damage, or looking for cyclones when the opportunities are presenting themselves. We're able to dunk down the shaman. I feel like there's a lot of specialization that are viable right now, a lot, just a ton that are going to be explored. Some definitely outliers. I highly recommend you check out my tier lists and other content creators tier lists as well, to try and formulate in on where exactly you think that the specialization you want to play is going to be performing. But I really think there's a lot left unexplored. We also haven't played the game in a state where we have honor gear instead of conquest gear, which could likely change some of the initial rankings for classes and specializations. I'm going to be covering up gearing up guides, how to make sure that you're maximizing your gear on your your character here on the channel. We're going to be doing class guides as well. So if you want to know how to perform at the highest level and start getting some of these cool rewards, then make sure to hit the subscribe button for the channel. But we're coming into round 3 here. We got Enhancement Shaman, Balanced Druid. Enhanced Shaman, probably one of the weaker specs at the moment, but we're going to start this off with that Incarnation and just tons of Starfire cleave damage. Look at us. We're just tearing both of these guys apart, peaking over 1 million cleave damage here. Solar Beam the Cyclone over onto the Feral Druid, but somehow, some way, the Resto Druid has managed to recover amidst all of the chaos that we are dishing out at this moment in time with this build. So we're going to jump away with our Wild Charge, get back into Lunar Eclipse. It's really important that you get into Lunar Eclipse and find moments to escape away from the interrupts, because this is what's really going to amp up your damage through your Soul to Forest talent. So your Starfires are getting even more modifiers applied to them in order to get those big crits. Here I did a Shadow Meld Rake stun, because you also get to play Rake reliably with this build as you're taking the movement speed. I'll have the talent build here. I'll show it at the end of the video with the screenshot, but it is a really fun build. You just move, you're just zooming around the map, you move really fast, and you can get these kind of really clutch plays with crowd control that I wasn't really able to do in Dragonflight. So that feels really awesome as well in comparison. Here we get stunned up. We're going to trade out our Bark Skin. Really good idea to do that whenever you're stunned, getting attacked by enemies, at least multiple enemies. We get in a Lunar Eclipse while we get some distance with that Typhoon, and now I've got more big Starfires that we are just going to keep sending into our opponents here. With both players getting low on my team, though, I'm a bit worried about going down. So this is that emergency situation. And you'll see Frenzied Regen here. It's not really a lot. Like, you know, absolute emergency, I'm going to do it, but you don't really want to be spending a huge amount of time in bear form. You just want to be kiting and avoiding damage, and I much prefer the kiting playstyle. I feel like that's more suited for Balanced Druid than sitting in bear form, so I actually do like that. Now we're going to try and go after the healer a bit, try and get some pressure against them, because Resto Druids are really good if you just don't attack them at all. So I'm trying to force the Resto Druid to switch hots to themselves, and then we can get pressure onto the melee DPS as well as we're going for this, and then I can maybe look for a Cyclone on him at low HP at some point. We knock back on the Cyclone, but we're getting low. We're very scared right now. He roots up the Warrior. He tries to run away. I'm not sure if we're going to make it out of the situation alive. You can see the game pacing. Look how close this is. Everybody's getting low health. You know, attrition is rising. Pressure is rising. It's this type of gameplay that really makes PvP fun for me. It makes it really intense. It's what I'm looking for. And I got a Battleground as well earlier on in the stream, if I can find it here. To kind of share with you guys, because the Battleground experience ended up being really good, and it was kind of tough to ever get a Blitz Q pop on the beta, but we were finally able to get one a little bit earlier here in this specifically, so I can show you guys like what a team fight looks like in a BG situation and what you should expect. In this one, we switched to the Keeper of the Grove and we focused on Starfall. I really wanted to give this a go because we had an Affliction Warlock on our team, so playing with dot classes, I wanted to see what kind of pressure could we get. So right off the bat here, we're running in the middle, we got Incarnation up, and we're just spamming Starfalls. You're trying to get as many Starfall stacks as you can, because those stars are going to crash down for some really big crits if you can stack it really high. So we're just focusing on multi-dotting. You saw how we were playing like a single target hard casting build in Arena, but in BGs you have the option to play an AoE Starfall build, which is really good for spinning the base as well as just providing tremendous amounts of damage. And you can see me and the Affliction Warlock going neck and neck, really putting pressure towards the enemy team as multiple targets are dipping low on health, and we are really starting to overwhelm them and swarm them in this position. We're just dropping them off like flies at this point, and I really liked the pacing of damage in this team fight, as opposed to the pre-patch where, you know, it kind of felt like there was not a lot happening in a lot of team fights. You were just better off CCing and kind of avoiding those situations. It didn't feel like the case. Look at that Scythe coming from the Frost Death Knight, the animations from the Reaper's Mark here for him. It's a really good time. I've really had a lot of fun. So we ended up getting the middle base, but we lost pretty much every other base. So it's, again, not always about the team fights. So we're going to have to move over to another round, another base, and see if we can manage to get it off onto the left-hand side, which ended up initiating a bunch of little skirmishes between enemies. So we just got that team fight example, and what is that like? And it felt really fun. What does it feel like when you got like one enemy or two enemies only in a Battleground situation? So we're going to pick up the Shadow Side Eye so we can see if there's any rogues nearby. Capture the flag. I see the Demon Hunter coming in hot, but I do not think he's going to be able to get here in time. We turn the flag over, and I see that I've got a Balanced Druid partner with me, so I'm not too worried, but I could drop Treants here. I tried to before getting stunned, and the Treants will hit the Demon Hunter while they're trying to cap the flag. Although Chaos Nova can be a good way for them to ninja it even with the pets, so maybe you have to be a bit careful with that. But we got about 3 enemies here. all stacked together, and we've got 3 allies. So 3 versus 3, but we're 3 DPS, no healer, and that's usually a no-go. So we've got a solar beam on the enemy healer. We're trying to get pressure out. We've already dropped the demon hunter with dot damage. Starfalls are coming through. We clone the healer and we drop the next DPS, and now we can just swap to the healer and finish things off. So that type of situation would absolutely never happen. The pacing, you know, on the pre-patch, if there was a healer in that situation, and look, it's a Prez Evoker, one of the strongest ones, we get some CC out, we get some damage going, and we're able to win that small skirmish engagement as well as the massive team fight. But now you'll see the power of the healers. We're kind of chasing this dragon around, not able to get too much going onto him. It's this type of situation where you're probably better off just cycloning or rooting them and then moving on to the next base, because I think it takes us a long time if we do end up killing him, or maybe he just gets away. But this druid really had something for me. He was out for me. He wanted to take me out, but thankfully I've got this other druid with me to assist me, and I actually think he's playing feral druid, so he actually healed me quite a bit. You'll see that he's healing me right now, so that kind of hybrid support, really important in this type of situation, flexing between not only knowing how to do damage but also supporting your teammate when you get these small skirmish situations, because if this feral druid stopped healing me, I would easily be dead right now. We got incarnation popped. We're going to town. We get instant regrowth with this build as well with the Keeper of the Grove, and as well as instant entangling roots, which could be nice for peeling enemies or getting some big heals off. We're making our way down to the shrine base to try and turn things around, but it's looking really unlikely for us, I think, in this game. And they've got an evoker coming in, a demon hunter coming in, so feral druid boomkin versus evoker demon hunter. Full bleeds out from the feral druid. We're trying to get starfalls rolling with the remainder of our eclipse, trying to dodge the deep breath, but now that you can turn as an evoker, we're probably not gonna be able to dodge the deep breath too often. We get chaos nova, but not a big deal. We get double shadow fury. Dots are ticking. Look at all the bleed pressure from feral, warlock, and boomkin together at the same time, just rotting them, looking for a quick double kill here at the shrine, and then we should be able to turn this flag over and try and put ourselves back in the match, although it's taking us a little bit here to finish off this evoker with the remainder of his health. He's actually managing to survive, actually just long enough for a healer to get in there, but healer not able to get in line of sight. He brings the druid up though to the high ground, so now we got to kill a healer and a feral druid, and this has been just constant fighting. We've just been playing as like a 3-player unit. It was Affliction, Warlock, Boomkin, Feral Druid, probably like 3 of the highest AoE dot classes when you're focused on AoE builds put together. So you've really got to know like what classes you're playing with and how to synergize with them, because it's going to create a lot better opportunities for you as far as gameplay is concerned. But we're really struggling now trying to finish them off. It's actually probably harder to kill a target when there's less of them as an AoE class, but Monk rolls in. That Windwalker Monk single target pressure should push this over the edge for us. Solar Beam onto the healer, clone the Communion. Feral Druid's alone. Big Starfire's coming in. Fury of Elune. He trinkets out into a Shadow Fury, and we're just chaining CC together here on the healer. And we managed to finally finish the Feral Druid with the Windwalker's support, and we should be able to turn this flag over in just a moment's notice as soon as we can finish off this guy. So it looks like about 4 DPS, and you can finish off a healer pretty quickly in a type of situation like that. And you'll obviously want to focus your build depending on the composition that you get. If I had like hunters and rogues and windwalkers, I'm probably not going to play Starfall, and this goes the same for any class or specialization when you're in these Battleground Blitz situations. And here's a Feral Druid had something out for me. I don't know what his problem was. He wanted to kill the streamer or something, but he wanted to go for the 1v1. I'm trying to kite away because Feral Druid is absolutely going to clap me. There's going to be basically no chance. So I'm on the run trying to stun him, get some distance, but I got support from my Feral Druid buddy, so I am never alone. We've summoned in the Treants, and now it's time to get a bunch of Starfalls crashing in. And when you get a lot of stacks of this, the Starfalls can hit like 600,000 damage. So it's a really fun Keeper of the Grove build to stack it up, because Keeper of the Grove generates Astral Power and Fury of Elune generates Astral Power. So you can get just so many Starfalls off quickly in a row. But we're starting to fall behind. We're starting to lose. It's not always about the team fights, right? In these Battleground situations, we're trying to move over to the market and get a little cap here to try and turn it around. But it's looking unlikely with them turning 3 bases at 1150 on resources as far as us to be able to actually win this one. But our Druid's friends sitting in stealth, likely gonna be able to peel. I've got Shadow Side Eye. Nobody's nearby. We should be able to turn this flag with basically no effort. But we've got to figure out like where's the next objective, and this is the biggest thing in Battleground Blitz, is paying attention to this objective tab over here onto the right and looking and seeing what bases are available, what are about to cap, how much time do I have to get there in order to win the game. Now, I probably should have just left this YOLO because we're gonna win, we're gonna lose regardless. So like getting on my mount and going to another base right now should have probably been my first priority. When you're in that situation where you know that you're going to lose, you're so far behind, you kind of got to take some risks, and I didn't take a risk here. And it's maybe possible that if I had, I could have gotten to the base that now I decide to go to, right? Because it's flipped over. Now it's immune to getting capped, which is a significant difference for Battleground Blitz. If I had left just a little bit earlier, maybe I could have got down to this bottom base for the Shrine, because the Shrine just turned over to the Alliance. And I think winning this Shrine base on the bottom would have likely stalled the game. I don't know if it would have won the game, right? But it could have stalled the game. So really you have to pay attention to these objective changes right here. See, they have no bases, so they're getting no points. And if we were here, if we were just at the Shrine just a little bit faster, like it just turned over, we would have got that, stopped them from getting point generation, because I think this base alone is likely going to win them the game at this point. We pop this Force of Nature, we try and get pressure on this Rogue, but I'm not going to be able to get to another base that has any sort of meaning on the map at this point with how everything has turned over at this point, so we're likely going to lose. Typhoon the Rogue, try and finish him off, try and at least get like an honor kill onto the scoreboard, but not able to pull it off in the end. But we had fun regardless. We definitely had fun regardless, and I think that's the point. The War Within is just fun. It is just fun. You absolutely need to check it out. Thank you very much for tuning into the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this commentary and discussion, and I hope to see you in Kazalgar.